Okay, so good morning, everybody, as I said, and I will continue with this theme, which is imagery, symbolism, and as I said, more figures of speech. Mainly here today, I will use another sort of example, like the one I said last time about the sick crows, which is really very symbolical and allegorical. And today I will give this poem called The Road Not Taken. The Road Not Taken. You know, really it's to do with the idea that sometimes you do something and maybe you wished that you have done something else. You know, the idea of the choice, the idea of choice, the idea how much you really maybe think about your choices, whether you have taken the right choice or really the wrong choice. And here, of course, the poet, if I will share this with you for a minute. It's on page, where is it? Yeah, page 46. Check that, page 46, by Robert Frost. As you can see, died 1963. As I said, he's a really very famous, important 20th century, well, early 20th century. As you can see, he was born 1874. You know, he really lived long, for 90 years. And but most of his writings really, I think all of his poems and poetry maybe were characterized by so many modernistic elements. And here, this poem called The Road Not Taken, you know, meaning to feel regretful, to feel sorry that you wanted to have taken that road, you know, and maybe whether you think of yourself that you have, you know, taken the right choice or not. And really, this is a very important idea sometimes, is when you decide on something, don't regret it. You know, the idea of the choice. If you choose something, that's it. You know, focus on it. And that's really the main idea in the poem here. And that's what we mean here about the question of allegory, or here I'm saying the question of the symbolism. Here, the road really means, of course, here physically, he's talking about two roads. But as I said, really symbolically speaking and allegorically speaking, he's talking about life, your choices in life. You know, by doing something like, for example, you know, coming here to university, studying this, you say, after 1 year or 2 years, oh, you say, oh, I should have, you know, maybe you change your mind and you switch to another, for example, specialty and so on, or another topic or subject, you know, and then, you know, you regret, you say, oh, maybe did I make the right choice, or was I really correct, and so on. And here, really, the poet, in a funny way, he's saying, you know, I had to take one road because really I wanted to take two roads, the two together, but I can't go into the two together, you know. As we say sometimes, you know, you really have to choose. You know, you can't take both. And this is really the idea here in this poem. The road not taken. Here, let me read with you. Can you see my screen, boys and girls? Yeah?
Yes, doctor.
Very good. Very good. Now, notice here, two roads. Let me read the poem. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And be one traveler long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Of course, you can see here, it's a short stanza, 5 lines, stanza. Again, there's rhyme. Really, it's lovely rhyme here. Would and stood and could, and again, both and growth. This is the rhyme again. As you can see, let me read the whole thing, and then I will go back and explain it. Notice here. So notice, then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay, in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads to on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence, 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and this and that has made all the difference. Remember, this is the same, as you can see here, this is the same poet who wrote that poem I gave you before about the mending wall. Remember? You can see it here. He's the same poet. So you can see, I think the idea, as I said, it's very clear. Someone like traveling, he said, in a wood. He said, in a wood, again, in a yellow wood. Look at the symbolism, meaning towards autumn time, which is, when you say about somebody who is in autumn, maybe someone who is in his maybe 60s, in my case, for example, someone who is in his yellow days, meaning he's getting older and maybe now is thinking, did I choose the right choice? Did I make the right choice? Did I marry the right woman? Did I do this and did I do that? Did I get, the idea really here is, again, to look back at your history and whether you feel regretful or to feel, yeah, I'm okay. I have done a good job. Yeah, I'm okay. I managed to have a great life. Yeah, my choice was good. And you always say, yeah, I wanted to go and try that road, which I did not take before. Maybe I'll come back again to that road. But the idea is you never come back. And the idea is you convince yourself that your road was the correct road. And you will say, my road was the best, and etc. You see, this is what I mean by the symbolism and the allegory about that. And really, he's saying this here really in a lovely way. Notice, 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood. He's passing, and then you reach like your road now will be, if you like, as you see, diverged. To go to be divided into 2 roads, and then you think, where should I go? This one or that one? You look into this one. Is it the good one? Is it the easy one? Is it the nice one? Is it the safer one or whatever? So you have to think, especially like if you are a traveler in a wood. Again, here really wood, the symbol for life, the symbol for your life, for the world, the, if you like, mysterious future, the unknown future. You say, did I really, or do I really have to wait and think and think and think, where should I go? Is this the right choice? And I think sometimes, we say this, as we say in Arabic all the time, we really try to use our own sort of traditional beliefs, and this maybe could be religious beliefs about choices, which is really sometimes, could be really interesting and really very nice to maybe think about. So here he said, I'm in this yellow wood, as I said, which is like I'm saying here, the real life. And the yellow, as I said, reference to could be old time or old age, or maybe the decaying thing, or maybe the time for looking back into history and so on. And now he is reflecting, you see, from the past, because he's using the past tense, the verb I could. He's telling us the story from the past. He said, that was what happened to me. I could not, he said, I could not travel both. He said, notice, sorry, I could not travel both, as if to say, I really wanted both, but I couldn't, I could not travel both and be one traveler. Yeah, you say, I can't divide myself and be two people and to go to these two roads. So I had to choose. I had to choose, which is really, the idea here, which is, I think, is quite interesting in every sense. When he's saying here, I had to be, or I can't be two people at the same time. And then notice he said, long I stood and looked down one as far as I could. Here the idea of thinking and doing the question of really, thinking about where and what, if you like, to go, or what decision to make, and look down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. He's looking at the road, and he said, I looked down into the road as far as I could see, but sometimes, you can't really see the end of it. So here he's saying it bent, meaning the road. Let me just put off this AC, please. Yeah, so really this is the idea. To where it bent to the undergrowth, then took the other as just as far. He said, I took that road, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. So here he's trying to qualify or to justify his choice to say, oh, I took the good road, the lovelier one, the better one, he said. Having perhaps the better claim, maybe, but this is my better choice. My choice was better to have taken this road. He said, because why? He said, grassy and really new, fresh, nobody touched it before. Because it was grassy and wanted wear, meaning not touched. Nobody walked here in this road before, so I was the first one. And of course, that's his qualification, or if you like, trying to convince himself that his choice was correct. And then he said, and though as for the passing there, had warned them really about the same. Though as for, as if to say, in the idea really, that sometimes you think that you are doing something that nobody did before, and then that's why you think this is your work and your achievement is much better. And that's why he's saying, though as for that the passing there had warned them really about the same. As if to say, when you walk on a road, when people, you think that people had walked before you, so the road could be seen where people had walked before you, and that, the marks and that, as we say, that treading, if you like, will be seen and will be clear. So as if to say, he was the first one to walk on that road. So he feels good and great about this idea, about, the question that he was really the first one to do that. And again, notice here, and both that morning equally lay in leaves, no step had trodden black. You see, here again, he's saying, he repeats the same thing, that this road, Nobody touched. Notice here, had trodden. Trodden is the past participle of the verb to tread. Means to really touch by your feet. Nobody walked here before. Nobody touched this ground with their feet except me, he said. Both, meaning, this, everything is here, if you like, clear, and he's justifying his action, that everything, it seems that the leaves, he said, in leaves, no step had trodden black, meaning everything around this road, it seems to be absolutely clean and virgin looking, absolutely lovely, nobody touched before. So that's why I feel better that I have taken the new, fresh, clean, lovely road. Oh, I kept the first for another day. Meaning, after taking this road, maybe here the second road, and then how he's thinking about the first road, he said, maybe the next day I will go to that road and see. And that's what he means, I kept the first, meaning the first road, the other road, for another day. Yet knowing how way leads to way. Again, maybe I know that sometimes way or ways lead to each other, thinking that I'm going back to that road, although I know that my road could lead to that road and to the same road, or etc. Again, here to see about the choices, the choice that you take, maybe your choice will lead you to the same thing and the same conclusion, which is, of course, to do with your fate, with your luck. No matter what you do, you will get the same thing. If you are lucky and faithful to take, or something, or your choice, you will get it. And that's why he said, I doubted if I should ever come back. That's the question here, to say, am I going back to take that road again? He said, I doubt that, because I'm passing in my time and I can't go back to be a young man again. Like for me, like for example here, I'm now 60, I can't go back to be 20, I would never be able to. And this is the idea here, you say, I doubted if I should ever come back. And, he said, yeah, but sometimes, especially when you get older, you start to think about your time. Maybe for you now as young people, really, did I lose connection, boys? I'm still okay. Yeah, good. Notice here, he said, I shall be telling this with a sigh. Sigh, say, ya hasrati, right? So really we say, don't say, ya hasrati. Really the idea here is sometimes is useless to say, ya hasrati, And really that's what he means here with a sigh. Saying, did I make the good choice? I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Here really it's the reference for you. When you get older, you tell your kids and your children and your family people, you say, yeah, when I was this and I did this. Yes, and that's what he means, ages and ages and ages, reference to really referring and thinking about what you are going to think, maybe in a nostalgic way. And this idea about nostalgia, really, this is the question here. Somewhere ages and ages hence, and then he comes back to the same line. Two roads diverged in a wood, and notice here he repeats the same, and I took the one less traveled by. So he is proud of himself. He's saying, I took the best road, the road that nobody taken before me, the best choice that I made, nobody did the same like me. So I should be proud of my achievements. I should be proud of my job, of my life, whatever I have achieved in my life. And he said, that's the difference in life. And that's what he said. And that has made all the difference. When you convince yourself, when you really prove to yourself and be happy with yourself and be satisfied with yourself and to be really absolutely easy with yourself about your choices, then you will live in peace. Really, this is the idea. You will be in peace. Not to say, oh, I wish I did this. Oh, I wish I did that. Oh, I regret I did this. And then if you live forever in regrets, really, you are going to be in a terrible situation and in a terrible, really, mess. And really, the writer here is talking about life. And that's the allegory I'm saying here. And that's the symbolism. To be always regretful is bad and is not healthy. Really, that's the whole idea here in this poem. Yeah, what do you think, boys and girls? Somebody, yeah, yeah. Okay, any question about this poem, boys and girls? Question?
So, doctor, is it a new type of rhyme that he is using? A B A B.
Oh, you see, poets, really, poets are really crazy about this. They do whatever rhyme they like. You know, this is not specified kind of stanza. Here, this is not really a fixed sort of stanza, as you can see. 5-line stanza, and he decided to do it in this way, like sigh, I, and buy, like first line with third and fourth, whereas the second and the fifth. And he, as you can see, he used the same rhyme. You can't say this is a strange rhyme. No, it's his choice, really. It's his choice. It's not fixed. As I said, in English poetry, we have so many irregularities about rhyme and about meter, and poets really are sort of very, if you like, really in a way, very strange and maybe free to do whatever rhyme they like. You know, they say, we are the poets, you know? So they have the choice.
Yes,
as I said to you before, there are no fixed stanzas. No fixed stanzas. People use 2 lines. People use 3 lines, 4 lines, 5 lines, 6 lines. You know, and as you can see, run-on lines and so on. So yeah. But you see here, the idea is that the poet in the same poem used the same rhyme in all the stanzas. Here you can see we have 5 stanzas or 4 stanzas. And he used the same thing. As you can see, A, B, A, and then B, and then A. You know, 3 A's, 2 B's. A, B, notice, would, and then both, and then stood, and then could, and growth. So notice really, which is the second line with the 5th line, and the rest A. Okay? Right. I think this this poem, as I said, as you can see, it's really short, but it's symbolical and it's meaningful about our choice. To be happy with your choice, to really accept your choice, and to be grateful, and to say, thank God I did this, and that's okay, no problem. Again, the idea is to be satisfied, self-satisfied. Okay, the next poem really I want to give you is by William Blake, called The Chimney Sweeper. And again, this really, again, poem is very symbolical again. The Chimney Sweeper. And here I think not just symbolical, but I think here the poem is another example of what we call in poetry or in poetry criticism or poetic discourse. We talk about the context or the experience that poets reflect in their poetry. And here, this poem, The Chimney Sweeper by William Blake, really is talking about this idea in terms of reality. When you talk here about the context, meaning to see how society affected maybe poets or affected people or affected writing, or how much we as people really are made by our society, by our circumstance and our background and so on. And here, of course, we say your experience. Like here, you come from a village. Let's say you are a villager, you are a countryman. You will think like a countryman in a way. Your behavior will show your really sort of elements that you have inherited from your own context, your own background, your own experience, as we say. And really here, this is the idea I want to say here about this poem called The Chimney Sweeper by William Blake. And I think it's a lovely, amazing, lovely poem talking about the poverty and the misery of childhood, or at least those days in the Victorian time. Remember, William Blake was the first romantic poet who talked or who lived, who was writing in the middle of the Victorian century, 19th century. And I will show you here the page. Let me see. Remember, we have taken 2-3 examples by him before. Where is it? Spencer, Shakespeare, Marlowe. Yeah, where is it? Yeah, William Blake here. I spoke about him last time, and I gave you, so far, I gave you 2 examples by him, or even 3, and this is the 4th. I gave you The Tiger, and I gave you London, and I gave you The Sick Rose, and now this one here, really by him, called The Chimney Sweeper. You know, in those days in Britain, in houses, old houses, in very traditional houses in Britain, they always build a big chimney in the house, a big chimney to keep the house really warm, and they use really real fire. It's not diesel or any other thing to use. They really use wood and real stuff. And it could be sometimes really big fireplace where you have really a big chimney, and that this chimney had to be cleaned every year maybe. And sometimes, because the chimney is a bit narrow, they used children to climb into these chimneys and clean them. Of course, the carbon, which is, as which is burned there, the terrible soot, as we call it, the soot, as we shall see here, this dark thing, which is like dusty, horrible thing, it could kill you if you get, smothered there or there. So that's why they used to employ children to do this. And I think it was really terrible and ugly business really here for kids to be employed in this business. And as I said, this is to do with the employment of children, the horrible employment of children in those days, because some people had to send their children to work because of poverty, absolute poverty and misery. And I think this poem here really is talking about that in every sense. And that's what I'm saying here about the context, the background, the poor, absolute poor circumstances in which these people really are living here. And Blake here is talking about that in a very nice way, sad way, romantic way, but again, melancholic way, and sometimes really ironical and critical way. He is criticizing society, how harsh society and the system was on them, and how much they were convinced, and to say, you know, you are okay to do this, you know, it's no problem, and so on. So trying to convince people about their life and their existence, and to say, you know, just say, as we say Alhamdulillah, you know, which is really sometimes you know, you have to say this, thank God you are alive, you know, thank God that you have all what you have, you are healthy, you are wealthy, you are whatever, you know. So this is the idea about that. Of course, for some people say, well, this is only like, you know, something like, you know, just maybe giving excuses, or maybe giving you something like morphine to calm you down, or to pacify you, or like, you know, could be pacifiers, I don't know. But, you know, this is the idea. Here you shall see this in a minute. And here the speaker in this poem is a young boy, you know, one of those kids, one of those children speaking this poem. Notice, when my mother died, I was very young. You know, notice the speaker here, the boy, saying about his life, about his situation, why and how he's working as a chimney sweeper, chimney cleaner. When my mother died, I was very young, and my father sold me, well, yet my tongue. What a shame. My father sold me? Look at this. Yeah? And of course, here the word sold really is metaphorical in a way, meaning sent me to work, like selling me to work even before I was able to speak. When he said, notice, when my mother died, I was very young, and my father sold me while yet my tongue could scarcely cry, sweep, weep, 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 weep. So your chimneys I sweep, and in suit I sleep. Look at this, you know, the way the rhyme he's using, young tongue, and then weep and sleep. So here we have, here to come back, Ismail, to come back about rhyme. So here the poet is using, as you can see, couplets. Each two lines rhyme together. But as you can see, he divided that into each 4 lines into one stanza, as you can see, which is really an easy way to do it. So again, look at the symbol here. He's saying, this boy saying, before even I was a little kid, I was really, really very young when my mother died. So what can I do? So my father want me to, or maybe sold me, I don't know. I mean, fathers normally don't sell their children, you know, and normally, I mean, nobody would sell their children. And, you know, he means, of course, here, I was forced to go to work before I was able to speak. Even, he said, could scarcely cry, weep, 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 weep. And notice he repeats the word 4 times, you know, weep, 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 weep. I think, remember, we have seen this in his poetry before, like in the Tiger, when he said, tiger, tiger. Remember that? When I gave you that poem here, the question of repetition really is for the sake of rhythm, and for the sake of rhyme, and for the sake of effect, and for the sake of music, I think, in his poetry. Again, when he said, so your chimney I sweep, and in suit I sleep. So notice here how many times he he repeated that, which is sometimes we can call this like internal rhyme, or this internal rhyme, or this, situation. I think mainly he did it for musicality and for rhythm, really. So he said, before I was tiny, I was so tiny, I was really, I was sent to work. And really, this is the idea, and the really amazing thing here he's saying. Notice, there little Tom Dacre, who cried when his head, that curled like a lamb's back, was shaved. So I said, hush, Tom, never mind it, for when your head's bare, your head is bare, or head's bare, you know that the suit can't spoil your white hair. Here he is explaining to about, again, the situation, saying when his friend called Tom Dacre, who was crying and he was angry that his head, his head, they shaved his head, who cried when his head that curled like a lamb's back was shaved, because these young kids, because they work in the chimney, because they don't want their hair to be always get dirty with the soot, with this black, as I said, the black, terrible, black, dusty carbon thing in the chimney. He said, that's why they shave the boys, they shave their heads completely. And here he said, I was saying to Tom, don't worry about that, because, it's okay. And he said, Tom, hush, quiet, Tom, never mind. When your head is bare, you know that the suit can't spoil your white hair. He's saying, don't worry, your hair, you have a lovely hair. You used to have a lovely hair. And now, don't be angry or don't be upset, because, when you have your hair cut, completely cut, you don't worry about anything. Your hair will not be spoiled, will not be dirty, and so on. So he said, calm down and don't worry. And so he was quiet. And that very night, as Tom was sleeping, he had such a sight. The thousands of sweepers, Dick, Joe, Ned, and Jack, were all of them looked up in coffins of black. So here again, he's coming back to talk about dreaming and dream world. He said, we were always working and working and working, days and nights. And he said, when we go to sleep, he said, Tom was crying and angry because of his haircut. And he said, Tom went to sleep and he had a dream, he said. Notice, so he was quiet. And that very night, as Tom was sleeping, he had such a sight. A sight here really means, a dream. And notice here, even the word sight in Arabic, sometimes we say really, dream. And sometimes we use the word even the same in English. He said a sight, which is like when we say ru'ya, right? And he said he had a dream. And what was that dream? He said that he saw in that dream, there were thousands of sweepers. And he names people like Dick, Joe, Ned, and Jack, all these boys, were all of them locked up in coffins in black. Oh, what a shame. He said, we were all these boys, thousands of us, were locked up in coffins. Oh, coffins means dead bodies, dead people. And he said, locked up in coffins of black. Means our coffins were black coffins, as if we were all dead. And here again, the word black could be related to again, to the symbolism of the work, which is the suit, again, the same thing. And the idea really here is the symbolism of misery and pain, and the absolute pain that they are going under through these circumstances of working all the time, and the misery. So he said, we had a dream that all these thousands of boys, we were buried, locked up or buried in these coffins, and by came an angel who had a bright key. So not locked, as if we were imprisoned, either dead or imprisoned. And then he said, came an angel, and by came an angel who had a bright key. Notice here the contrast with colors, black and bright key, the whiteness and the blackness here, the blackness of death, the blackness of the coffin, the blackness of coffins, the lock here, the imprisonment of coffins, the imprisonment of death, the pain and the agony and the torture of death, right? And the angel who is going to save you from death, to take you to paradise. And really, this is really the symbolism and the lovely, amazing, really here contrast about that. He said that we had an angel coming with his key, a bright key, and he opened the coffins and set them all free. So he opened this prison with this key, and notice he again used the word coffins. Really, it's like here, as I said, the symbolism for prisons or graves, really, because the word coffin, it's really like exactly like a grave or a tomb, right? So he said, set them all free. He gave them a life, being more really a chance to go back and to life again. Set them all free, freed them from this terrible prison. Then down a green plain, leaping, laughing, they ran. All of them, they started running and laughing and enjoying life. Green plain, leaping, laughing, they ran. Look at this again, the idea about kids here, the young kids enjoying freedom, leaping, jumping. Notice plain, green plain means really big and wide and really spacious, green fields, lovely, romantic, lovely meadows and fields, absolutely lovely. And they started running. And he said, and wash in a river and shine in the sun. Remember, they were all dirty because of the soot. So now they came to this river and they washed themselves. No, wash in a river and shine in the sun. To warm themselves from the river after washing, because it's outside nature, so they shine in the sun. So they gave themselves really lovely swim in this river, and then they warmed themselves in the sun, which is really very romantic, very maybe idyllic, idyllic, like as if to be living in absolute, I don't know, it could be could be primitive sort of life, which is unbelievably imaginative. The idea here about this fairyland could be, absolutely amazing fairyland, if you like, where you do this. And again, notice here when really he I think used more symbolism. He said, then naked and white, all their bags left behind. Remember, they were washing themselves in the river, so they all stripped naked and they went into the river. So all of them were swimming in this river, and they left all their bags and clothing, on the embankment, for example, or on the field. They rise upon clouds and sport in the wind. as if to say, you know, he's dreaming that they started to fly in heaven. And the angel told them, if he would be a good boy, he would for his father and never want joy. Really, this is the idea, he said. If you behave well, my boy, if you are a good boy, then you will be rewarded. The angel told Tom, you know, told Tom and everybody, if you are a good boy, then you will be fine. God will reward you. And the angel told Tom, if he'd be a good boy, he would have God for his father and never want joy. As if to say, you know, as I say, I don't know. I mean, people really explain this in a political Marxist, terrible materialist interpretation here. Talking to poor people to say thank God that you have this. Say God will give you paradise at the end. So don't worry about the present time. If you are miserable now, just say Alhamdulillah, no problem, because you will be rewarded in heaven. And people sometimes say, well, I want some rewards now. What about now? What about now? You know, this is the idea. And really, this is the allegory here. And this is the context. And this is the materialism. And this is, if you like, the question about rejection of the of your situation, your present condition, your horrible condition, that you want to be free, you want to enjoy life. And when you die, if you go, of course, when you are a good man, hopefully you will go to heaven, you will go to paradise. And now he's saying to this young boy, don't be angry now as a young boy, poor boy, working days and nights. Don't complain. Don't be angry about the system or about your, you know, employers or about anybody. You will be fine later. When you die, you will go to heaven. And that's what he's saying here. You know, if you are a good boy, you will be rewarded by heaven. Never want joy, meaning you won't care about joy in this world. And as I said, really, this is the metaphorical promise about, you know, accepting. I think sometimes, I think it's nice to feel this, to say, you know, sometimes we say this, you know, sometimes we say this, yeah, we say, you know, that, yeah, we will be rewarded in heaven, inshallah. Yeah, we will be rewarded in heaven, and so on. And really, this is, of course, in the dream. And notice here the last stanza concluded. And so Tom awoke, you know, he woke up from his dream, and we rose in the dark, you know, meaning again, we went to work even very, very, very early in the morning. And so Tom awoke, and we rose in the dark and got with our bags and our brushes to work. So remember, they go day and day, every day, going in the morning and coming back late in the evening from this work. And he said, we are having a horrible time, we are having miserable time, and we you know, we had to do this all the time. And he said, we had this dream that we will be fine. But he said, we got with our bags, we resumed our work. We took our tools to go back to work, our bags and brushes. Though the morning was cold, Tom was happy and warm. You see, when you are promised by heaven, when you are promised to go to heaven, you feel much better. You don't feel the pain, and you don't feel here the misery, as he said. He said, though the morning was cold. So really here he's saying that Tom was happy and warm, although the conditions in real life were terrible, but yet Tom was okay. Tom was happy. So if all do their duty, they need not fear harm. Yeah, I think that's a lovely line here. If all do their duty, they need not fear harm. Yes, if you do your share, you should not worry. If all do their duty, they need not fear harm. Do your job. Don't say to people, do. You do first. Start with yourself first. And I think this is a very important issue here. And this is the very important question. People should do their job properly. People should do their duty properly. And they should not worry about others. Start with yourself. Be a nice man, be a nice woman, be a nice father or mother or whatever. Be good and do your job, and things will be nice. Things will be corrected. Things will be fine, absolutely. You will not need to worry. Again, he said, fear no harm. Yeah, I mean, this is really a nice social, absolutely social question here about the importance and the responsibility here. Isn't it? Yeah, okay. Any question, boys and girls, again? Yeah, okay. Yeah, it seems that you have problems with your microphones. No problem. Now, yeah, so really the idea here is very clear about, I'm saying here, the question of the context and, you know, the, if you like, the experience and so on. And I think that's enough example about that. Remember that poem I gave you last time in the exam? I will finish with it today. Really is what we call here, again, literary tradition, or what we call really imitation. That sometimes poets mock and imitate each other, sometimes for fun, sometimes for really for sometimes you know, for criticism, sometimes for irony, and sometimes they mean it in a bad way or in a wicked way. Really this is done so often in response, in reply to, if you like, criticism here. And I think this poem, I did not give you that in the exam, but I thought I did. No. Let me read this one here for you. And really, this is a lovely poem by Christopher Marlowe. It's here. It's very easy. Here, Christopher Marlowe wrote this poem. As you can see, page. Let me show you the page. I will share this with you. Where is it here? You see, this is by Christopher Marlowe. As you can see, Christopher Marlowe was born exactly the same year as Shakespeare. They lived, they were born in the same year. And I think Marlowe was really, of course, you can see he was really a wild man, and he died earlier because of his terrible behavior. At some you know, he was killed really in like a funny, terrible, you know, fight in a real sense. You know, he was really a troublemaker, if you like, physically speaking, I'm saying. And Marlowe really was an amazing poet, Shakespearean, Elizabethan, I should say, poet. I think he wrote huge, I think, really lovely poetry, especially the poem I asked you in the exam about that section I gave you. Really is taken from this poem called Hero and Leander. Hero and Leander, and it was really a strong image taken from mythology. And here, I don't have it here for you, but I have another one. Well, I have an extra and some section from that here, but I don't want to. Maybe later on, if we have time, I'll read this for you. But this one, I want to share this with you to show you that this poem called "The Passionate Shepherd to His Love," a shepherd talking to his love, asking her something. And Marlowe wrote this, and another poet came after him and wrote the same thing, notice here, in response to the same poem, right? And he called the nymph's reply to the shepherd. You see? So we have a poem, the first poem called "The Passionate Shepherd to His Love." So the shepherd speaking to his girl. And here the next poet gave a response poem and said the girl is responding to the shepherd. The shepherd is asking the girl in the first poem, saying to her so many things. And now here the poet, the other poet, came and gave a different response, which is really a funny response in a way, to say that poetry sometimes can be written in this way, really to again, if you like, in the same thing, to really mock and criticize and imitate, and you know, mainly to criticize and mock other, if you like, other poetry, really. So the first poem here by Marlowe, I read it today because really we don't have time to read all of them. Notice here how lovely this poem really is. Notice the shepherd, the passionate shepherd to his love. The passionate shepherd to his love. Come live with me, come live with me and be my love. And we will all the pleasures prove, the valleys, groves, hills and fields, woods and steepy mountain yields. And we will sit upon the rocks, seeing the shepherds feed their flocks by shallow rivers to whose falls melodious birds sang madrigals. And I will make thee beds of roses and 1,000 fragrant posies, a cap of flowers and a kirtle embroidered all with leaves of myrtle, a gown made of finest wool, which from our pretty lambs we pull, fair lined slippers for the cold, with buckles of the purest gold, a belt of straw and ivy buds, with coral clasps and amber studs, as if their pleasures may thee move. Come live with me and be my love. The shepherd swains and shall dance and sing for thy delight each May morning. If these if these delights my mind may move, sorry, if these delights thy mind may move, then live with me and be my love. Really, this is an amazing, really amazing invitation here by Marlowe, as you can see, is asking his young lady to come and live with him, asking her so many amazing things, you know. Notice here, again, the title, The Passionate Shepherd. The boy, the shepherd here, this young villager who is going, attending his sheep or his goats, and he's in love with this young lady, and he's saying to her, come and live with me, come and marry me, and I will be your husband, and we will all the pleasures prove. I will make you very happy all the time. I will give you all the pleasures in the world. And he said, the valleys and groves and hills and fields and woods and mountain hills, he said, we will go everywhere. Remember, because he's a shepherd and he goes everywhere, he said, I will take you everywhere. We will go all together. Valleys, mountains, hills, fields, groves, woods, everywhere we will go. Yields means we will be receiving, we will be going everywhere in a very happy way. We will be able to travel everywhere. And we will sit upon the rocks. Again, really here, the poem is full of imagery and symbolism and metaphors. You know, he's saying, we will sit on the rocks. We will sit upon the rocks, seeing the shepherds feed their flocks. We will see how our, you know, we boys, shepherds, we feed our sheep and goats and maybe, I don't know, donkeys or camels or cows and calves or I don't know what. We feed because this is our job. By shallow rivers to whose falls melodious birds sing madrigals, he said, we will sit next to this river and we will hear all these birds singing all kinds of melodies. Madrigals means melodies, the birds, the singing of the birds. Notice, falls, whose falls, rivers and falls. You know, falls when, like, you know, when water and rivers, they go down into valleys and really sometimes into steepy areas, and they make what we call falls. And really, this is really naturally lovely looking when you look at it, and you see this. I think normally in nature we see these things. A lot of those falls we find that in real life, and I think I've seen it here in Oman, on TV. Sometimes I've seen that really lovely places where you have rivers and falls. So he said, we will sit next to these rivers, next to these lovely falls, and we will enjoy the scenery and the absolute romanticism. And we will be listening to these birds singing all kinds of songs, their lovely songs, you know, these heavenly songs, you know, madrigals, even reference to angels or like seraphs, or these angel-like birds. And I will make thee beds of roses. Again, here he is exaggerating. He said, I will make you a bed of roses and 1,000 fragrant posies. Posies means when you bring something to your wife or your whoever you want to give a present, you bring them a bunch of flowers. You bring them a bunch of flowers. And posies really means a bunch of flowers, bunch of roses. And fragrant means smelling lovely. He said 1,000 of fragrant posies. a cap of flowers, and a kirtle, again a skirt embroidered all with leaves of myrtle. Really, myrtle, again, this absolutely evergreen thing that grows in Mediterranean area, and I think this is taken from the Mediterranean culture. And sometimes in Arabic we call this, really you don't have it here in this country, it's only a Mediterranean tree, wild tree which grows in the wilderness, in the outside countryside. It's called myrtle. It's like something really, in Arabic we call it a rayhan. And here really you use the word rayhan for something else. It's not the same rayhan that you have here or you think of here. Really in Arabic also it's called al-as. And this kind of tree, it's, as I said, only in the Mediterranean area. And this is taken from Greek, from old mythological references here. And this has been used to refer to purity and love and cleanliness and smelling absolutely lovely. In Syria, in many places in the Mediterranean area, when we bury our dead, we cut some of the myrtle and we plant it over their graves. We plant myrtle over their graves as a symbol of honor, as a symbol of love, as a symbol of purity, as a symbol of cleanliness, and so on. Maybe I will send you the image. I will send you the image as a link maybe today. If I will check it from online, from the net, and I will send you the image to see the picture. So here he's saying, I will make your kirtle with this. Again, he counts again, a gown made of finest wool, which from our pretty lambs we pull. You know, he said, I will make you also more and more a gown made of wool, the best kind of wool that we take from our lamb, the best, the most, you know, beautiful lambs that I have, I will make you out of those. Again, I will make you slippers. You know, slippers that you use at home when you are inside the house, you wear slippers. And he said, I will get you the best, the best and shinest, loveliest. Again, notice fair lined slippers for the cold with buckles of the purest gold. You know, your slippers will be decorated. You know, the buckles of your slippers will be decorated with gold. You know, the slippers that I will get you, they will be lined, they will be decorated with lovely shining colors. Normally, you know, women and ladies wear these things at home, you know, because they like these lovely, shiny sort of golden stuff. And that's why he's saying here, a belt, again, a belt of straw and ivy buds. Again, straw and ivy buds again. You know, again, more colorful, more natural. Remember, this is a shepherd, and he's using all natural elements. With coral clasps and amber studs. Again, he's using these little tiny studs, which is like really, you know, we use this sometimes, you know, like small needles or small spots, you know, and you notice he said coral, like, you know, absolutely lovely, colorful red. And he said amber, the color, which is, you know, very, shining red and rosy red, you know, with the color of the amber. And if these pleasures may thee move, come live with me and be my love. If you like all these things, if you are happy with all of these things, then please come and live with me and be my wife. The shepherd swains shall dance and sing. And if you accept to come and marry me, everybody will sing for us. All the shepherds' girls and goddesses, all the shepherds' girls and goddesses will sing and dance for us, for thy delight each May morning. They will dance for you every day May morning. If these delights thy mind may move, if you really are happy with this, if you are convinced with this, then please come and live with me and be my love. You know, the poet here really is asking, I'm saying the speaker, the shepherd, is asking, making proposal for his woman, for his girl, to promising her, giving her a lot of promises. I will do this, and I will do this, and I will do this, and so on. So please come and marry me. You know, really, this is the idea, and that's why I'm going to stop here today, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. And really, this is an amazing poem. As I said, this is a poem, and the response, we shall see the response. I will show you that quickly next time after, because next week, really next week will be the last week in teaching poetry. Week 9 will be the last week for teaching poetry, and I will start in week 10. In week 10, I will start drama. Right, any question, boys and girls, any question?